will get the authentic community engagement.
Sorry, Nelvis,
Okay.
keep going. Sorry.
That's fine. So once we understand what is it, who lives in your city, and what is it that they want, their likes and dislikes, is when we can truly engage into what we call the authentic community engagement. So first one, the first framework is going to be the effective community outreach. This is a systematic approach, and this is what I've been doing on my daily practice. This systematic approach is rooted in real listening, one-on-one connection, respect, undivided attention, community-centered, and excellent customer service. So these are some of the ways that I'm doing the data collection, how I get to know people, and we're going to be focusing today on the community member visits. These are some of the collection methods, and here are the numbers, but they haven't been updated. It's more than that by now. So we want to map out the city. We want to start identifying our community members. So how we can do that effectively? First, and this is how I do it, is I will select a day of the week or even two, maybe Monday mornings for me or Friday afternoon. And I will compile a list of the groups or people I want to hear from or the organization. So I start creating my list. I identify the representative of those organizations or those groups. And I start creating emails and send out invitations to meet. I like to meet with them one-on-one, and I rather meet with them at a coffee shop or a library. I try to avoid a meeting at any workplace. And the reason for that is simply because the workplace, there are a lot of interruptions, and then you will see a lot of technology. And we will have the laptops, the cell phones, and the environment as a whole won't be conducive to a real connection. And we want to truly take advantage of those very precious minutes that the community member is giving us. And that's how I go there with embracing curiosity and with the most humble intellectual approach. I want to learn from them at all times. And I usually, like I said, I usually will select whether Monday mornings or Friday afternoon. And I have my own goal, which is sending at least 10 invitations to meet with people. When I meet with them, I try to bring something, one of the facts from the city of Greeley or any information that I think might be pertinent to them. Then, like I said before, active listening is key. I avoid any interruptions. I avoid to interrupt the community member. I try to limit my conversation to the minimum. I just go there to ask questions and to learn from them. I never, another tip that I will provide is I never take my laptop with me, or I will put the cell phone on the table. And simply because as a city representative, I don't want anybody to believe that I'm recording something or the conversation. So to respect and honor the time that they are giving me, I will never take my cell phone out of my purse or my briefcase. And as a courtesy, also, I will schedule the meeting with the community member for an hour, but in my calendar, it will show 2 hours or even 3, depending. And the reason for that, because I don't like to end the meeting. I don't like to cut it short. If the community member wants to keep talking, I welcome every second of that conversation because it's my moment to learn from them. And follow up after the meeting, it will be the thank you email. I will capture one or two key messages that they are giving me just to demonstrate that I'm listening. And I will follow up with any requests they have made. I usually will say, give me a couple of weeks until I get what you are asking me, because I have other 10 people also waiting for the request, or, they request, they need the time that I need to schedule the time on my calendar to meet with other people as well. And then I will keep checking with them every 3 or 6 months just to keep the conversation going. Then now, how we start that conversation, because we are two perfect strangers. And also I wanted to say, I usually like to meet with people one-on-one. Based on my experience, when I meet with groups, it's not the same type of connection. The type of conversation or even information that I get from them is not of the same depth or quality. It's a lot easier for me to establish a connection one-on-one, and it's going to, at the end, it's going to give me better results in forming a partnership than if I connect with a group directly. I'd rather connect with the person, and then I can go to the group. But I like that one-on-one first. So how we can keep that conversation going with a perfect stranger? So in order to avoid government, in my case, I work for the government, and we know we might be mistrust so by our community members. What I try to do is, and to avoid any particular or difficult conversation, I just say, let's talk about, in this case, will be for me, Greeley. Let's talk about Greeley. Let's imagine that Greeley is a person. So what would you tell me what would you say about Greeley? What would you say Greeley needs? What are the challenges, the successes, the pain points? What is it that Greeley wants or like, or like, or like? And from that, the person will start talking. I also ask, if you were my supervisor in this position that I hold, what would you recommend I should do? How can I improve my community outreach and engagement strategy? Then, to wrap up the conversation, and again, I just let people talk about whatever they want to talk. And then I say, okay, so what do you think the local government, or how the local government can help, in this case, Greeley, or the city, or the organization? And what do you think, how do you think we can partner together to make the city a better place? And that's when they start giving me all those pearls of wisdom that I so badly need, and that I'm going to use. And then at the end, and this is key, always ask for referrals. We want to ask, who do you think we should be contacting next in order to build this beautiful instrument in which we are going to improve the way in which we reach out to our community members and we hear from them? And they will let me know. They will give me usually 2 or 3 people, and I will follow up with them. So during this conversation, we're going to find out the motivations, the support system, the organizations they network with, their interests and passions, the values, and the needs. And once we take notes, and the way I take notes during the meeting is with pen and paper. Again, I don't take any electronics with me. They are not conducive to real communication. So I take my notepad and my pen and I start writing everything that I think might be important. I don't write anything that might be confidential or personal, nothing like that. It's only things that will be important in terms of community outreach and engagement. And that's when, with all the notes that we are taking, that's when we start the analysis, which is the inductive thematic analysis. And I will suggest you look more into this, because this is a very, very powerful framework and it's very helpful. Even if you don't apply its totality, it's going to help just to organize ideas. Every time that we talk with someone, what is the information that we're looking for? What is the information that we want to obtain? So this is a qualitative data approach. And during this process, we want to listen like there is no tomorrow. This is pretty much the process of inductive thematic analysis. Like I said, this is just an outline. We won't have time to go into this one by one, but it's important for you to just to get aware of what this type of analysis can do for you. So I start by selecting quotations and then the keywords in everything that they are telling me. And this is going to go from the more specific to the most general. So the keywords, then coding, then we will identify the themes start emerging, then is the interpretation, and finally the conceptualization. And here we're having an example. Let's say, during my conversations, I started identifying that several groups were talking to me about transportation, and it was more about transportation concerns and the infrastructure. So we started identifying the codes. We have public transportation and needs. The keywords were transportation and bus hours. And then I will select all those different quotations that will provide evidence of these keywords and codes. And then it's the interpretation at the end, the conceptualization. So I think you can read it, or then during the recording, you can pause. But pretty much is our community members are asking for extended hours and for more bus routes in the city. And that is going to provide more the transportation needed for them to attend other meetings and to have a more intense or more vibrant public life. Then we have, on a positive side, Greeley residents were also talking about the commitment that the city has for progress. And one of the reasons is why is that it's because Greeley has a great reserve of water and a very good quality of water, or water quality. And the city is very proud about everything that we have done with water. And this is what is allowing us now to expand and to grow as a city. And here people are studying, you will see those themes emerging. And so when we start combining that data with the community voices, we're going to have pretty much two sides. On one side is the quantitative, which is the community reach, the number of people that we are reaching out to, that we're reaching out, and the key groups and stakeholders. We're starting to map their relationships. We will know who likes who and who likes who. So who we can bring to the table together and what partnerships will be very beneficial. And we'll start expanding our networks because we're asking for referrals. Then the inductive thematic analysis, we will engage in a deeper way with our community influencers. We will gather notes and we will have the thematic analysis. All this is with the objective to be able to pretty much penetrate those communication channels. We want to know how to reach out to them in an efficient manner. So we will have the quantitative and qualitative data. And those two combined will allow us to build that effective community engagement and outreach practice. And here are the themes that started emerging during all those conversations. We have the self-image, housing. This is about what Greeley wants, what Greeley is concerned about, safety, infrastructure, public transportation, mental health, entertainment, communication. And for me, in my case, very importantly, how we can do better outreach and better engagement. And we will use all these themes to get to this, the community, the outreach, and the engagement. So we start distilling all that information into what will be that instrument of strategic alignment, the effective community outreach and engagement. So in this case, again, Greeley is experiencing exponential growth, and we are seeing the demographic shift, and we want to be able to involve all our community members, the ones who have been here for generations, as well as the ones who just arrived this morning. So how we can do that effectively? So this is a little bit how I put all this information in practice in order to create a very strategic community outreach and engagement strategies or tactics. So we will start identifying the groups. In this case, refugees, asylum seekers. These are some of the challenges that we were able to identify. And please, I'm just adding, this is very high level. I have a lot of information about each one of these groups, but for the purpose of this presentation, I just wanted to give you a little bit of each one. And these are some of that very key information. So one of the challenges they're experiencing is childcare and transportation. Then engagement tactics, incredibly important that we reach out to them through their trust figures. We communicate with them through WhatsApp, host meeting at their locations, and they are more inclined to respond to visual or audio communication instead of paper and flyers and all that. Now, this is what they're recommending. The best way to connect with us, we want to be able to talk about how to improve or facilitate the child care certification process. We want more transportation routes. We want to see how we can apply for city jobs. Then we keep going. This is going to happen the same thing with Latinos, Hispanic Latinos. These are some of the challenges. We know that the Hispanic or Latino population is incredibly extensive. We have those who have been here for generations and the ones who also arrived this morning. So we have a very, very complex community, and we're coming from all over many, many different places, countries with different cultures. So this is a very particular community in that regard. So what would be the engagement tactics? Definitely using the ethnic media, local-based organizations and businesses. WhatsApp is another good mechanism to reach out to them. This is some of the recommendations. They're asking for, one of them will be cultural sensitive training for city staff, and they want to be involved in that. And we have also community law enforcement training. So what do we do with all that information? Like I said, I have a lot of information about each group, but then that's going to be translated into a database. And in the database, we will start identifying who the religious leaders are, that they are very trusted in the community. Then the community leaders, the community connectors. Then we will have all the organizations. These are the organizations that I have already approached, I have met with, and I'm already in collaboration in a way or another. From each of these organizations, I will create an arrow that will go into the center, and that arrow will indicate how close we are to that organization and how effective the partnership can be. In this case, we're very, very happy with all these organizations, and we are collaborating very closely. Then we will go to other groups. For example, here is the youth group. We have, again, the challenges, some of the engagement tactics, and some of the recommendations they are giving us. We will do the same thing. Start identifying the religious leaders. They are telling us who their community leaders are. In this case, I have several of the youth I happen to talk to. They were mentioning certain rappers or musicians and also sport figures. And these are the institutions they attend. So it's very important also for me to, okay, so when is it that you're meeting? Can we get in your agenda? Can we be part of that meeting? Is there any opportunity for us to get some input? So we are meeting them where they are. And we will do the same. We have here another group. And again, we can create as many groups as we want to and go as granular as we want to. We have the active adults, again, challenges, engagement tactics, recommendations. We will do the same thing. This is what I have developed so far, and it will continue. Then we will have the businesses. This is what they are telling us. Some of the concerns or challenges might be homelessness, economic stagnation, shortage of workforce, competition from neighboring cities, city regulation and processes. And here are the engagement tactics and recommendations. So this process that we are going to do, again, here we'll develop a database that will respond or address everything that has to do with businesses. And here we have other groups. So what is important in this case is that we are, or in this case, I'm trying to match what they're telling me with all the different projects that are taking place at city level. All those key projects and initiatives that need input from the community. So I try, this is pretty much a matchmaking process. I hear what they're telling me, I listen to them, this is what they want to hear or be involved with, and I start looking for projects that the city is working on and start the let's get together process. And this is a constant refinement and a constant evaluation process. What is it that is working and how we can bring more people to the table. Again, so I will develop a database about businesses in particular, other groups. I haven't had too much time invested in them just yet because this is a very lengthy process. And then at the summary, we can say, so very important that we keep in the back of our mind the key stages, always identify first, then analyze what they are telling us, how they communicate, what are their networks, how they want to receive information, then what is the best way to reach out to them, what is it that is working or not working, and then put everything in writing, how we can reach out to particular groups in the most effective and efficient way possible. So as a personal reflection, this is what I do constantly. It keeps me grounded, which is incredibly important. The qualitative data. It's not so much about how many people I meet. Am I meeting the right people and the right networks, the ones who can truly make an impact in our various projects and initiatives? Then when I meet with them, do they feel heard? Do they feel more connected now to the local government or even other organizations? Because I will also share, again, the matchmaking goes everywhere. If I see that an organization is doing something that another organization can benefit from, I will match them, I will introduce them. And that's how I start creating this network. Are we creating spaces where diverse voices feel valued? Are we celebrating their successes? And are we building a culture of engagement where engaging and being engaged is what we do? So as a conclusion, I would say that combining data with authentic voices of residents reveals more than trends. It uncovers connections, belonging, and what truly matters. This process enables us to design strategies grounded in communities, in each community's unique strength and aspiration. And real engagement goes beyond tactics. It's about relationships, building trust, and share a sense of purpose. And that's where the magic truly happens. So hopefully, the next time we meet with them or we call them to the table or do our event, it will look something more like this. and I have nothing more to say than thank you. And do you have any questions?
Thank you, Nelvis. Thank you for the presentation. Yes, I want to go ahead and now we can open it up to anybody on the call that has a question. I'm going to read one that just came in the chat from Alyssa Lane. Alyssa, do you want to read your question?
Oh, sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have two in the chat. I think one, and thank you for this presentation. I think I'll almost say them as like profiles of communities. I think it's great that, you all put that together, and I'm sure that was a heavy lift. I was curious, in this particular case study with the different, like, I guess I'll say profiles, were folks asked about like their challenges or needs in general, or in general for their community, or were they questions pertaining to a particular topic? And then the second question is, I was just curious, like, what platforms or methods did you use to disseminate, collect, and analyze the data? And of course, I did get on about 10 minutes late. I did hear a lot about like, asking questions and doing handwritten notes, but I think I just wanted to understand like how the data was collected, and then even what did you use to analyze all of the info that you got from everyone you spoke to?
Okay, so the data is collected using pen and paper. I will try to transcribe as much as I can. I always ask for permission. I always say, would you allow me to take some notes? And if the person says yes, that's what I do. So I start taking notes. And then I will compile, let's say, 50 visits. And I start the analysis, which is the inductive thematic analysis. And I start going through that process of identifying. You will see how themes start emerging almost organically. You will see, oh, certain people are talking they are talking a lot about maybe housing, and this is how they want housing to take place. And then I will have, another topic that will emerge from all the notes that I have will be, oh, transportation. So what is it that they are saying about transportation? And for me, it's key. Okay, who are the groups that are truly, truly invested in transportation? So, because those will be the groups that I'm going to contact when public works start launching a particular project. So I already know who my group is going to be. And again, it's about that matchmaking process. I'm truly listening. What is it that they truly want to see happening? And I start looking for the projects that the city is doing. And that's how I bring the content experts at the city with those particular community groups. And that process is a lot more intentional instead of just, of course, we will always communicate that to the entire population. But here, we are going to be very intentional because I already know this is what they want to hear about. This particular group is truly interested and truly invested in transportation issues, for example. The first question, what was the first question that you asked?
Oh, yes. Let's see. Oh, the questions that you asked, were they just in general or pertaining to a
Yes.
specific topic? But I think you may have just mentioned it. What sounds like perhaps you're getting like quantifiable, just broad data, and then matchmaking what type of project it might be relevant to.
Yes, that's a great question. I never ask any specific question, at least for the opening. I always say, let's talk about, in this case, Greeley. Let's talk about Greeley. If Greeley were a person, what would you say about Greeley? And I just let the conversation start taking place. And I will see, now that I have more practice with the inductive thematic analysis, I can see all the patterns emerging. It's like I have almost like a scanner with me. Okay, they are interested in infrastructure. They are interested in maybe safety. They might be interested in outreach. But I hardly ever ask anything that will be very specific. I just let the conversation take place, and I might get, so let's say when at the end, when I ask, and how do you think you and I can partner together in order to help, in this case, Greeley? Oh, okay, so, and I can say something, okay, Greeley seems to be very interested in transportation or improving the transportation system. So what do you think you and I can do together in order to do that? Or how we can partner together to help really with transportation? So the community members, they will tell me what is it that they envision, and again, that's how the matchmaking process start taking place. And I have met with CEOs, directors, executive directors, and single mothers and people facing homelessness or unhoused people and elected officials, you name it. And the process is always the same one. And people feel very, very happy to be listened, to have that moment in time just to express their opinion, because I don't, there is no judgment or any type of, I want to hear about this only. No, it's whatever they want to tell me, that's what I'm going to capture, and that's what will allow me the analysis after that. And that's how the community engagement and outreach strategies or tactics start taking place.
Thank you, Nelvis. I'm going to go ahead to Stephen Buckley. Your hand was up. Just curious if you still had a question.
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. I'm a little confused about your use of the term qualitative data because it sounds like what you said. I don't write anything down, but then later on you say I take
No,
notes, and
no, I
then
do.
okay,
Yeah.
and but it sounds like it's what you think of as data as a collection of stories, or it sounds like you're capturing a lot of people's stories, but I don't see how this converts to data. You see what I
Well,
mean? So, and just let me
yes.
clarify one other thing. Because, for instance, beginning of the session here, we were asked if we wanted more information um, uh, from Granicus, and we put it was just yes, no, but it could say how if they had been asked how you could collect data, then if you said how interested are you, and then you could put it 1 through 5, and then you'd have some data. And it wouldn't just be Steve Buckley is interested in Granicus because blah 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 blah. That's not data. That's just a story. Steve Buckley's opinion. So anyway, I think there's a little confusion there. I think you're using it differently than I don't see the data part. Okay, thank you.
Okay, yes, I do take notes. I won't take notes about any personal stories per se or any personal information. I'm interested about the collective. What is it that they think about, in this case, Greeley? Now, the inductive thematic analysis, this is a scientific method that you use when you gather notes from people, when you start collecting what they are telling you about a particular, again, they start answering my questions that happen to be very open. I just let them guide the conversation. I am not there to ask, and how many times do you want to meet? And what is it that you want to talk about? No, in that direct way. I just let them talk to me and I start gathering and will be described as much as I can. And after that process, after I have a collection of many notes, I will start this process that is called inductive thematic analysis. And this is a scientific method in which you analyze everything that you have in writing. And you will see, you will start, the themes start emerging by themselves. You will see, oh, I have heard from several people that they are very interested in safety, let's say, or infrastructure. And what is it that they are telling me about those particular themes? So that is that's when we start selecting the quotes, and then the keywords, how we are going to summarize this, and then everything will become more general. We will have the coding, then the themes, the interpretation, and the conceptualization. This is what all this data is telling me, is what is it that they truly want to hear about, or what their main concerns are. So, and then I will be able to I have a huge, very long document of everything that might be of interest for the people of Greeley. And it can be so good because I was leading the quantitative survey for the city of Greeley. And it happens that quantitative match everything that I have on the qualitative side. And this me talking with people one-on-one. And the qualitative, is a survey where you get numbers only, but the sentiments, we were able to capture those sentiments. Now, and it's not only about the data per se, which is incredibly important, and I use it, but it's also the connection or the time that the community member and I are dedicating to get to know each other. So that has no value. We are making connections, we are building trust, and we are making friends. And that's what it's going to allow that in the future, very near future, when we have a project or an initiative and we want to hear from people, we can email or make a phone call and say, I truly need your input. What would you say, or how can I have access? How can I have access to your network? So, but the inductive thematic analysis, this is a scientific method, and this is helping me a lot in this process, and it's through gathering notes when I talk to people.
Okay, thank you. I just would recommend that if there was some standard monitoring and evaluation questions, standard questions, then it won't be Nelvis says it this way, Steve says it that way. Then we can compare apples and apples and for best practices. Just my suggestion. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, Nelvis, I'm going to go to the chat. There's a few questions in here. I'm going to go to Charlotte. Your question about, can you elaborate on your use of the WhatsApp? Do a lot of community members already use that? There was also a few other people that chimed in to give their feedback on the WhatsApp, but Nelvis, I'll let you speak to it a minute. So can you elaborate on your use of the WhatsApp? Do a lot of community members already use that?
Yeah, well, I'm not using it per se. I'm getting in contact with the community networks that use the WhatsApp. So I just recently had the opportunity to meet a very active community member. She has access, according to her numbers, to more than 20,000 residents in the Greeley area. And so my ask is, can I send you information and can you disseminate your information through the WhatsApp group? And that's how I do it. But it's very important for me to know who is using WhatsApp, who has those networks. Now that I'm using, or the city is using WhatsApp as a way of communication, no. But I'm creating the connection with those community members, and I send the information to them, and they use their networks. They use WhatsApp to communicate with their networks. And then I will get feedback about what information they want to receive, and that's how I do it.
Great, thank you. One more question from the chat from Marie. How do you segment the different groups of your community? Do you refer to the official demographic census of your city? So Marie,
I use the demographic. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was just going to say if Marie was still on, if she wanted to elaborate. Oh.
Yes. Hello. Okay, so you mentioned the different groups you have gathered, for instance, the veterans or the refugees. But at the beginning, how do you identify those groups? Just from what you know from your community, or do you refer to an official census?
Well, through the census, we can identify the different groups, but the reality is, as we stated at the beginning, it's about, I will select my list. I will dedicate maybe a Monday or Friday to create a list. These are the groups that I would like to get in contact with. And I select the groups based on my experience in working with community members. I would say, I truly want to get to know, let's say, veterans. And I will start looking all the organizations that work with veterans or serve the veterans. And I will start selecting names, and then I will send an email and, to invite to meet with people at their at a coffee shop or a library. Like I said, I'd rather do everything outside the workplace. And from that connection, I will get other referrals, and I keep going on, and that's how I start building. But it's not exclusive to that group only. I might be targeting several groups, but I will try to, through the inductive thematic analysis, you will start seeing how different groups, they think very alike. And you will see the themes. You will see, oh, this group is very interested in maybe wraparound services or something like that. But yes, it's pretty much I will start just getting referrals, and I will start building my groups based on all the information I received from community members.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I'm just going through the chat. Seems like there's a lot of discussion around the data piece, the qualitative, quantitative, the stories, things like that. So it looks like there's some good conversation happening there. With the last 8 minutes or so, is there any other questions that anyone has?
I had another question. So assuming that this is like a small segment of the greater community in the city, do you also look at past data sets or surveys and reports to sort of get that temperature check of like, if I were to interview, I don't know, 50 folks of this specific demographic, how does that mirror or complement other data that you have collected? Like, if these 50 are sharing their experiences or challenges that might not reflect the larger group. So I guess how do you rectify that?
Well, when I came to the city of Greeley, I didn't get access to anything that was done before. I pretty much started from scratch, and I like to do that simply because, again, this is about first creating the connection. I want to make friends more than anything else. I want to be able to identify my community members. I want them to know me. So that first approximation, that first conversation is paramount, is essential for me. And then the data comes after they tell me their stories. What is it they are interested in? And then when I have many of them together, I start the process. They might be interested in this particular topic or this particular issue. So, and that's when I start the matchmaking process. But yeah, no, I started, in fact, even the survey, I'm relying a lot on the survey that I led. Was highly successful. I have the resident survey, and I have also the non-resident survey, how other communities around us perceive Greeley. So, but it's not so much about how many responses we have received, is about how can we access to those networks. Are they open to receive information from us? Are they open or willing to host us in their particular meetings? Can we be part of their agenda? And that's how we're building relationships, and how is that we're getting that very important information that we need to gather to support all the projects that we're doing.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, I think one more question. I'm gonna go to the chat, and then Jackie, I'm gonna try to get you as well, but I'm gonna read this question from Jeff. Jeff, if you're still on, I'll read your question, and then if you want to elaborate. Jeff says, to what extent does holding a meeting outside the workplace help establish common ground and reduce potential biases?
To be is my preferred method. When the very few times that I have met people at their workplace, the connection is not the same because there are a lot of interruptions, and the laptop or the computer or the cell phone, they're going to be in the middle of the conversation. So for me, when I meet with someone, it is an act of complete openness and surrender. I want to truly hear from the community member, so I listen very attentively. And being outside the workplace truly helps with that. So I always insist. And in fact, out of more than 100 meetings that I have had, only one was online, because believe me, it's not the same. And actually, that connection in particular, I haven't done anything with that person, because, and I would say, I will, if I want to follow up, I will insist, let's meet in person, let's meet outside the virtual world, because again, it's about creating that authentic connection. And this is what I try to do. And in fact, again, I try to do it one-on-one. Sometimes people insist, can I bring someone else, or can I bring maybe 2 more colleagues? Well, but again, I will insist, I'd rather meet with you first, and then I will be more than happy to meet with your group. But again, it's about establishing that first connection that is so important. It's about building trust and the relationship. Remember the first photos that I presented. If we don't have friends, nobody's coming to our party. So we need to spend time building friendships.
Yes, thank you, Nelvis. Jackie, I think it was you who had your hand up. I'm not sure if you still have a question. If you do, please go ahead and ask. This will be our last question of the day.
Yeah, hi. So my question has to do with sort of like as you're tracking data and folks like because sometimes you have new people enter organizations or you have emerging new leaders or you become aware of an issue. How often are you going through sort of your key people and making sure you're not missing anyone or doing sort of research to figure out and I'm asking this because the city council that I work for is really interested in creating a community engagement framework. And so knowing okay, every 6 months, should I be checking who's on my list? Are we missing anyone? What, are there specific stakeholder groups? And then as you expand, as well as sort of, I'm curious about tracking progress through specific themes as well. And how do you kind of make sure that you're listening to folks and actually able to act on certain things?
Yeah, well, I would say if you use the time frame of 6 months, I would say that would be quite all right. However, this is a constant. If we go back to the key stages of community engagement, this is pretty much a continuum. We're continually revisiting all those different groups, or like you said, the different stakeholders. We're continually reaching out to them, let's say every 3-6 months, and we try to get them involved. Another practice that I have, maybe Friday evenings, I will try just to send an email. Just sometimes say hello to a group, or look, we are working on this initiative. Would you like to be involved? So I will get the responses. So it's a way to keep the relationship going, or the relationship fresh. And then my objective is, how can I get access to their networks? That's the real objective. Data is just an instrument for me to get to get access to their networks. And yes, so since it's a process that continues throughout the year, continually I will be revisiting, oh, maybe we might have another group here, or this group. Hardly we will see a group going inactive, but this is a very dynamic process. So continually, in my case, I'm discovering new people, new groups, pretty much on weekly basis, people that I didn't know. Like I said, I just a week ago, that's when I discovered this group that has more than 20,000 people via WhatsApp. For me, that was a great discovery. And I cannot believe, and through them, I might be able to maybe meet with 3 or more key ones that will have other WhatsApp groups. And that's how I start building those, the mapping the network of different influencers in the city. So Jackie, I don't know if I responded your question, but that's pretty much, that's a continuous process. It never ends. It's a constant reaching out and getting to know people and involving the stakeholders with the projects and initiatives that are taking place, in this case at city level.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We are at time. Thank you, Nelvis. I really appreciate everybody joining today's webinar. Again, we will share out the recording via a follow-up email, and then it will be posted to our website where members can view the recording if they had to miss today. So again, thank you very much. Thank you, Nelvis.
Thank you.
looks like there are still a few people on. Do you have any last minute questions, or maybe you stepped away? All right, I'm going to stop the recording.